Okay, greetings internet. So the last video I made wasn't particularly received well, which is kind of funny. I mean, I kind of expected their response, but I kind of wanted to go over some of the comments and then kind of talk about, more American cities in general. But I found a couple of these responses kind of funny, especially this one. This guy says, I came to this video looking to hear the opposite side. You haven't addressed any of the arguments and facts they presented. Your argument is basically Asian countries are more conformist and brown people are incapable of behaving. Which to an extent that's true, but it also applies, not to the same extent, but, I don't think white people ever emulate East Asian cultures. It's not going to happen. And then he says here, these are completely irrelevant to the issues discussed by urban planning, which I think is totally false because, we're talking about America here. We're not talking about China. We're talking about America, and so-called urbanists in this country are overwhelmingly leftist and vote Democrat. And he says these are completely irrelevant to the issues discussed by urban planning, not to mention the current state of autocentricity causes a lot of these problems in the first place. Well, isn't that something? Apparently the automobile caused the failing schools in America. This is shocking to me. I'd love to see the correlation here, but I can't say I quite understand. And then there was a few others. I think this comment was the most reasonable. He said, I think the comparison with other societies is interesting because it's entirely unnecessary. We can just compare the current US with the past US. The reality is that the primary reason why the social problems you mentioned persist is because most of society is ignorant of social problems we face. When you depend on public services, you will demand that they are safe. I take public transportation every day. Sometimes you have to deal with the crazies, but the crazies are magically absent the moment the police are on board. So mandatory police presence on each train. We have to rebuild our cities because we don't have the wealth or the resources to continue with the suburban failure. I don't exactly... this commenter, I guess, fundamentally agrees that, there's a significant problem with American cities. But I don't know where the confidence is that anything is going to get better, because you see from the other comments, somehow all the comments, the vast majority of people, the response was being in a train and having some wacko in the train shouting threats into the air is that's completely reasonable behavior, and I guess if you don't like that, you're a racist or something. And to set the record straight, this was a middle-aged white man. This was not African American or anything like that. Today too, I had another experience where at the station, where I was waiting for the train, this guy came up to me asking if I smoked weed and whether I'd like to buy it. I can't, and this is just in the past couple of days. I never had this experience once in Japan. Not once. The contrast is so stark. I don't know why people deny it. I don't understand. I genuinely don't. But I think his solution was to put a police presence on the trains. Because, I don't know how the other systems work. The way it works on SAC-RT for the light rail in Sacramento is that they don't check your ticket immediately when you board. You're supposed to get a ticket from the machine or have it on your phone, and periodically, like men and women in orange vests will get onto the train, and they will have you check your ticket, and then they will get off at some station, and they will jump onto another train. I mean, I don't think the city has the resources to put a police on every because you'd have to put police on every car of the train if you're going to seriously police behavior, and I don't think that's realistic. I mean, part of the lax system was the fare. Like, I think there's genuinely widespread fare evasion. I mean, because what you can do, you can just buy like I mean, if you want to skirt the system, or you can just get off the second one of the orange vests gets on the train, because a lot of the time they're just not there. And what you can do is you can buy like one ticket, because you don't have to activate it until you you buy the ticket, and then it's in the app, and then you can activate it. And that's just the way the app works. So if you wanted to, you can just have like one ticket perpetually in your app. And whenever somebody asks for the ticket, you can just show them that ticket, even if it's a ticket you bought a week or 2 weeks ago. I mean, I think fare evasion seems to be quite rampant. I mean, I don't know the figures, but that's what it awfully seems like to me. And then sometimes the checkers just won't do their job. Or you'll have people who drag their feet about showing a ticket. Then another thing too, when somebody doesn't present a ticket, like, they don't seem to check IDs, they just jot something down on a clipboard. And maybe I'm just ignorant of the process and they're actually doing something, but it sure doesn't look like they're doing much to me. I think what you would have to do, like a realistic solution to this problem, is you just have like a dedicated person on each train. Like, I don't know why they jump trains. I mean, you'd probably have to hire a few more people, but I don't think it would be like all that many. And maybe like every 3 or 4 stations you get into one car, then you go into the next, then after 3 or 4 other stations you go into the next. Then every time you go into a new car, you check every ticket on the train. And if they can't like show a ticket, then just give them an immediate like $100 or $150 fine. Like, it's harsh, but it has to happen. You can't have fare evasion. It makes the train worse for everybody, because if you have fare evasion, it quickly becomes like a rolling homeless shelter, and that's terrible. And some people seem to take the I assume the comment they're getting at it from the last video was don't be naive towards certain demographics. And to be clear, that's not just towards African Americans or Hispanics or any other group. Like, I think that applies more generally to vagrants, to homeless, to prisoners, criminals. I mean, you need policing, you need laws, you need district attorneys to actually take the case and put them into jail. I mean, how many of you have been into a store in cities in America, like a Target or a grocery store, and then you see, you're welcomed by a security. Like, I went into a Target in San Francisco, and you're immediately greeted with 2 security guards. I mean, if I remember right, I think they were armed. I mean, I don't know whether it was an actual gun or if it was a taser or a stun gun. I don't know, but I went into a Target in Sacramento. You come down the elevator, and you're greeted by the security guard. And then, I went to another pharmacy in the Mission District in San Francisco, and so many things were locked up. Or if you look to a lot of, convenience stores in downtown Sacramento, like, look how many have, like, boarded up windows. I mean, you see, these companies are resorting to the private sector having to hire their own security because the public institutions have just been failing. Like, they're having to resort to their own means. That is a terrible sign for, like, that's a sign of a breakdown, like, and to an extent, of society. That is not a positive sign. And many people will just argue, well, it's not worth the time for the police officers to stop shoplifting. Like, really? So the police are just supposed to let them go, like, not respond to people who steal under a certain amount from stores? They're just going to be allowed to go free. You're not going to enforce that law. I mean, how is this acceptable? Like, how? Society is being militarized. Now, this is the type of thing. I mean, in South Africa, it's a lot worse, but people have to resort to their own security systems, or the private security sector is bigger than the actual state's police force over there, which is telling of of the broken state of South Africa. I mean, America's not quite to that point. Maybe it'll get there, hopefully not. But there's definitely similarities between the two. I mean, how is this acceptable? Like, why would anybody want this? Why would anybody play defense for this? I don't understand. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.